This video will show you how to print your work. The data that we're using in this exercise is from a previous video on comparing power prices. And the first thing I want to draw your attention to is these three buttons in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. It enables you to change from normal view to page layout, and later we will also have a quick look at the page break preview view. In the meantime, let's just have a look at the page layout. You can also go to these three different views by going to the View menu and clicking on either one of these three buttons in the top left hand corner. Now what's interesting about this page layout view is that it's easy to add information into your headers or footers. The first thing to know about headers is they've actually got three different slots where you can put information in: the left, the middle and the right. Similarly, if we go to the footer, we've got three slots there as well. Now one of the things I like to do is to add the page number and the number of pages in a particular printout to my work. So to do that, we type in page, space, and click on this page number, and then of, space again, number of pages. Now as I clicked those buttons, page number and number of pages, you saw that this code thing came up, the ampersand with something in these square brackets. These are basically codes that Excel uses to translate into page number or number of pages. Similarly, if we chose a date or a time, we would get different ones. For instance, if you wanted to record the date that this was printed out, you just click on current date and it would give you the code for the current date. Another thing that I like to do is to add the file path and file name into the footer of my document, so that if I need to, I can easily find where I've saved this document. To do that, I'm just going to delete the date from the previous exercise. I just click on file path and that brings up path and file. Alternatively, if I just wanted the file name, I'll just click on file name at the top. Now let's go back up to the header. Sometimes I like to add the sheet name as a heading for my document. So if I just click on the sheet name button, it gives you tab. Now you can actually format this using your normal formatting tools on the Home tab. So if we go to the Home tab, we can increase the font, we can make it bold, we could even change the color if we wanted to. I'm just going to leave it with black. Those are options available to you. Now going back to the Design tab, there's one other thing I'd like to show you is this picture button. Now you might like to add a picture to your header, for example a logo. To do that, you just click on this button and you select the picture and it will show. The thing to remember about pictures is either they've got to be small or you've got to increase your footer size accordingly to fit them in. A picture that's too large will obviously dominate your worksheet and reduce the amount of space you've got to do your calculations. Okay, so that's the header and footer. Another thing I'd like to show you in this is to have a look at the page layout tab. Now I'm just going to click outside the header and footer region. If we go to the page layout tab, first thing I want to show you is the margins. You can set wide margins or narrow margins, or just keep them at normal depending on your need. Another option available to you is to change the orientation of your page from portrait to landscape or vice versa. If you have the option to print with different paper sizes, then you can choose them here. So you might want to go from A4 to A3, or if you're in another country you may find it easier to print on letter size. This next thing, print area, first of all I'm going to select the range that I want to print. This is what I'm going to be using for my print area. So I select the range that I want to print out. I go to the print area and I set the print area. This also brings up in the name box a defined name called print area. So if I had other cells on my page that weren't part of that print area, when I go to print they wouldn't print, just what's in that print area will. Another thing I want to show you is the print titles. Now in our example we may want to print out the company and plan on the top of each page. To do that, we go to Print Titles. We find this one that says Rows to Repeat at Top. We click on it, select the rows we want to repeat at top, and then click this button to take us back to that Page Setup dialog box. Similarly, if there are columns that we want to repeat at left, for example, in column A, we've got all our heading information for those rows. So ideally we want those to be printed on the left hand side of each new page. To do that, we click on this box, click on A, click on that button again, and then we just press OK. Now if we have a look at our work, we see that we've got column A coming up on this page on the right hand side. If we scroll down, you can see that we've got columns 3 and 4 printing out at the top of each page. Now another thing that you'll notice with the way I've set this particular page up is that ideally you would probably want this printing out on one page. As it stands, we've got it printing out onto 4 pages. You'll notice it's page 1 of 4. If we go to the page break preview, you'll get a little message. First time you go here, you can adjust where the page breaks are by clicking and dragging them with your mouse. If you don't want this dialog to keep coming up every time you go to page break preview, just click on that button there and click OK. Now you've got this dotted line here, you can just click and drag it. It will alter the page sizes accordingly. Now when I did that, you'll notice that the bottom page one also expanded accordingly. I'm going to undo and show you another option. So if I go back to the normal page view, if we're on the page layout tab, one of the things that I commonly do to make the pages fit onto a specified number of pages is to open up the page setup dialog. To do that, I can just click on one of these buttons in the bottom right hand corners. Now on the page tab of the page setup dialog box, the easiest thing I find is just to go to fit, and I can specify how many pages wide and how many pages tall. It will scale the sheet down to fit that in, and then I just press OK. If I go back to the page break preview, you'll see that it's all on one page. Now when it comes time to printing, what I'd like to do is have a look at it first. So I want to go to print preview. There are 3 ways you can do that. One is to go to the print preview button if you've got that in your quick access toolbar. If you haven't, you can click on here and select it so that it is showing in your quick access toolbar. Another method is to go to the file menu and select print. And the third method is to press Ctrl B. No matter which method you use, you'll be taken to this screen. One thing you might like to do on this screen is to change which printer you use. Just click that drop down box and select another printer if you so desire. Another thing you might want to do is to have a look at printer properties. Now these are going to change depending on which printer you use. You may have options with the colour you use and also the size of paper that you use. Personally, I like to play around with this pages per sheet. Quite often I will print out a large document on 2 pages per sheet. Then you can just press OK. When you're ready to print, you can just click the print button here and the document will print out. So that is how to print your work.